Okay, so today we have a fascinating story from Claude Hopkins. I call it the beer story. I tell it frequently when I'm speaking with attorney firms and other types of businesses about how they can differentiate themselves from all of their competitors. And when we talk about attorneys looking like each other, we're talking about you may be a family law firm, you may, personal injury firm. When a prospect looks at you, you look exactly the same as every other lawyer who does the exact same type of work. They say the same things, they just belong to the same clubs. Avo, Fine Law, all of those guys. Now, the problem is, and this is where we're going with this, when you look like everybody else, you become a commodity. So why do business with you? So when you look like everybody else, why not just go to Legal Shield and get the cheapest type of lawyer they can possibly get, because you're a commodity? What differentiates you from everybody else? So let's go through this story real quick, and then let's see how it applies to you. My name is Cary Duke. I've been doing online lead generation and digital marketing for over 15 years, and I want to help you be better. So they vaulted to brand number one, and it was a story of the mundane, the beer that made Milwaukee famous. So all brewers at the time, we're talking about the early 1900s, were crying pure. They're putting the word pure in large letters, and according to this statement from Claude Hopkins, they took out double pages in magazines, which is where most of the ads were occurring at the time. They put it in larger letters. The claim made about as much impression on people as water makes on a duck. Okay, so let's compare that to you as an attorney firm. You do family law. You do personal injury law. So what? Right? That's exactly what your prospect is thinking. So what? You can see they had a great big plant. They were right there next to Lake Michigan. When Schlitz hired Claude Hopkins, he was a famous ad man. And when I say he was a famous ad man, in 1900, he was making a salary of $185,000 a year. That's the equivalent of about $6.9 million today. So he goes up there to Milwaukee. He sees large rooms enclosed with plate glass where beer was dripping over the pipes, and those rooms are filled with filtered air so the beer could be cooled without impurities. And again, this is the whole goal. You can see the ads. He's putting in the cooled and filtered air, right? So he's starting to tell the story of exactly what happened. And I'm going to share with you why this is important in a second. All right. He was shown huge, expensive whitewood pulp filters that provide a superior filtering process. The representative explained that this is how they cleaned every pump, and they did it twice a day, daily, to assure purity. And each bottle was sterilized not once, but twice, but 4 times by machinery before being filled with beer. Right? So 4 times they clean these bottles. So we're telling more of the story here. Here it is. The doctors are saying that Schlitz should be better because it's soap. Right? This is the whole goal. They showed Hopkins the 4,000-foot deep wells dug to provide the cleanest and purest water available. And again, they were right next to Lake Michigan. The water used in Schlitz beer comes from 6 wells bored to rock, right? Emphasizing the fact that they're using this different kind of water. They spend a fortune on cleanliness. They don't just filter their beer, but they filter all the air that touches it. It is a story about purity. Finally, in the laboratory, he was shown the mother yeast cell that was a product of 1,018 experiments and developed to bring out the most robust and unmatched flavor. All the yeast used in making Schlitz beer was developed from that original yeast cell. There are no germs in the pure beer. It's, while the sweet drinks which you give children are full of them, it's making a comparative here. All right, it's a tonic. He was shown where the beer was aged for 6 months before it went out to the user. So when the tour's over, Hopkins exclaimed, "Why don't you tell people in your advertising about all these steps you're taking to brew your beer?" And the Schlitz representative told him, well, because basically that's how all companies brew their beer. They all do it about the same way. And lawyers, you guys do the exact same thing. You say, well, everybody advertises that way, so why shouldn't I? Because of all this advertising and all of the storytelling about the beer, Franz Joseph, the Emperor of Austria, even sent one of his representatives to find out why is this beer so good, right? He wants to make Austrian beer better, And he goes to America to find out what they're doing, not knowing that they're doing the exact same thing. So, yes, Hopkins countered, but the first one to tell the public about this process will gain a big advantage. Out of that tour and all the information gathered, Hopkins went on to create an advertising campaign that shocked his client. He told the story that every brewery could have, but didn't. And now this is the lesson for you guys. Again, telling the story of the beer, the purity, get the good without the harm. I mean, it's cleanliness. It's sterilized. It's aged for months, so it doesn't cause biliousness. You want to be sure of it. So this is a situation which occurs in most advertising problems. The product is not unique. It embodies no great advantages. Perhaps countless people can make similar products. We can insert services here. But tell the pains you take to excel. Tell factors and features which others deem to be too commonplace to claim. Your product will come to typify those excellences, and if others claim them afterward, it will only serve to advertise you because it's a comparative. There are few advertised products which cannot be imitated. Few who dominate a field have any exclusive advantage. They were simply the first to tell certain convincing facts. Claude Hopkins. You need to educate your prospects. Not in the law. That is everywhere. You need to educate the prospects on what makes you different. So when you educate your customers on the specifics of what you do down to the nitty-gritty, before the competition lets the cat out of the bag, before John Q. Public focuses his gaze, gape, and green eye of envy on you, you are no longer a commodity. You don't want to be a commodity. And the only way that you can become something different is if you broadcast the fact that you are different and why. So here are 8 questions that you can ask yourself to get started on understanding what this is. All right, so what features of your business can you promote in a preemptive fashion? Is anyone else leading with these in a consistent manner? What process details can we list to educate our customers? How many employees do we have? Do we provide ongoing training? How do we maintain quality control? What's our development story? What efforts do we take on our clients' behalf? Why do we do the things we do in the way that we do them? These are all questions that when you come up with the answers, you will understand how you can become different, how you can tell your story in such a way that it makes others want to copy you. Now, this is the story of the Schlitz beer phenomenon of the early 1900s and how they used their story in such a way that they were able to go from being, bottom of the pack to number one in America, selling over 1 million bottles of beer. Again, my name is Cary Duke, and if you would like to go over this kind of marketing exercise and get some help and clarity on how you are actually different, regardless if there are 100 other attorneys saying they do the exact same thing, let's connect because I know I can help you.